Liverpool have never been in this position before. They literally own the best player on the planet.
Football is like this sometimes. Hello and welcome back on Debatable on 11 Football with me, Fabrizio Romano, ready to discuss together about football, of course, transfers. We are in transfer window and many other things related to football as always. With me today, super pleasure to be joined by Paul Machin from Redman TV, the biggest Liverpool fan channel on YouTube. And not only, how are you, Paul?
Yeah, great. Very good indeed, mate. Thanks for having me on.
Super pleasure to be together with you, and we will discuss Liverpool. So it will be one of our big topics today because Liverpool transfer strategy is something that I think is really interesting to be discussed. But we start with some tweets also from other clubs and other updates that we had in the last few days. And I wanted to start with Inter Milan because Liverpool are going to face another Italian club in Champions League. The feeling you have is in England is like an easy game because I live in Italy, I live in Milano. And we have the expectation, okay, Liverpool are simply impossible to beat for Inter. It's going to be more than complicated. They will try, of course. They are champions of Italy, but it's going to be more than complicated. But it's the feeling you have about Inter in England?
Honestly, I would suggest that Inter will probably be a stay in a test. They just will be. I know they obviously had to have a little bit of a rethink in the summer, after everything that kind of went on there. But they are the champions, and that's worth something, I think, and that's the difference between themselves and AC Milan. You look at the top of Serie A, there's not much between most of that top four. Little part of me that wants to be able to say Liverpool knocked out the champions elect on the way to winning it or something, but I would reckon Inter Milan will be a much more difficult test, and particularly when you get to the knockouts and stuff, and it matters more. I've I say fear, but because I think Liverpool have got a brilliant squad, and it will depend how many of that squad are available by that point. I think we're all crossing our fingers and toes that Salah and Mane come back unaffected from AFCON, shall we say. But no, I think Inter Milan will be a much more difficult test than AC was.
Yes. I agree with you. And we move into the final tweet for a player who leaves Liverpool City, but leaving Everton, and is Lucas Digne, who is going to joined in the last few hours Aston Villa on permanent move from Everton. Is a done deal on a 4.5-year contract, so everything has been completed. Wanted to ask your opinion on that one. If you expected this kind of move for Lucas Digne to leave Everton in January to join Aston Villa. We had some rumors about Newcastle and other clubs, but he always wanted to go to Aston Villa. He's really attracted by the opportunity to play with Steven Gerrard as a manager. This is what I'm told. He's really happy with this possibility. So wanted to ask your opinion, Paul, on this one.
Yeah, no, I think we're seeing that already, aren't we? I think it's an interesting challenge for Newcastle because Newcastle have clearly got the funds, but the fact that they don't have a manager that's the same level of draw. I don't think the Newcastle project is exciting unless you're 100% excited by money, and maybe playing in black and white stripes and seeing half-naked men celebrating in the stands in the middle of the freezing cold of January. But in Aston Villa, it feels like a much more solid project than the Gerrard thing. Like Lucas Digne, I mean, he arguably in top 3 of Everton's best players, and certainly has been for a few years. I think statistically, he's right up there with the best left backs on the planet. I know a lot of Evertonians have been quite keen to debate the merits of Digne or Andy Robertson and who's the best left back in the Premier League. Of course, it's Robertson, but no, that's a steal. For Aston Villa, you're getting experience, quality. He'll add to that side, and that's it speaks volumes to what Gerrard's doing. That in the Coutinho deal, I'm not sure that Dean Smith gets those deals over the line.
Yes, and it's going to be super interesting to see how it works for Lucas Digne, for Coutinho. But the feeling I have, and I wanted to ask you on that one before we move into Liverpool topic about the Liverpool legend, because we mentioned him, Steve Gerrard, but he's doing great with Aston Villa. But I'm told by people in football, like agents of players and this kind of things, they're really attracted by the possibility of bringing players to Aston Villa because of Gerrard, but not just because of the name of the legend. It's not just because he's Steve Gerrard, but because I'm told that he's doing great also day by day in training session, this kind of things. Players are super happy. So you see him one day at Liverpool, maybe.
Fingers crossed. I mean, it's an interesting step up. I mean, the big question is going to be, is step up from Villa to Liverpool, is that is that one step, or does there have to be another intermediate step? But I mean, look, so far so good. It's very early days. We saw him at Anfield a few weeks ago, and the one thing you can say that's encouraging about his management style is that he demands 100% commitment from his players, which is very how Klopp has Liverpool, to be perfectly honest. But look, Gerrard he carries an aura about him. I think he conducts himself brilliantly as a manager. Or he's a very cool customer with the media and how he handles himself and how he talks about his team and how he talks about his players. He obviously commands respect, not just because he's Steven Gerrard, but he's got a very good demeanour about him as well. So yeah, he feels like a Liverpool manager, but obviously he's very much the Aston Villa manager, and we want him to be as successful as he can possibly be, as long as it doesn't interfere with what Liverpool are trying to do.
Of course, it's gonna take time, and we will see. So let's jump into the big one, into the topic one, Paul, and this about Liverpool, of course, with our statement here on Debatable, and this: Liverpool are only looking for new signings at the long term. So the idea, the transfer strategy of Liverpool, this is something we wanted to discuss together with you, because personally, I'm so attracted, I know that maybe for fans on social media it's not easy to see other clubs signing players, but then at the end, when you are on Saturday and Sunday playing football, Liverpool are always among the best teams. Also, if they are not signing many players, they signed Ibra Konate in the summer. It was a great one. So I want your opinion on that strategy from Liverpool.
I am a big believer in Liverpool's strategy, and as you point out, that doesn't necessarily go down well on social media, because everyone, we do it ourselves. We all like to stir things up. We like to talk about transfers because it's fascinating. It's really interesting. It's the most exciting thing that doesn't involve kicking a football.
Sure.
But I agree. I think Liverpool's transfer business has been as close to perfect as a football club's got on it over the last 5 years. If you look at short-term signings and reactionary signings, you have to look back to last January for Liverpool. Liverpool were in a defensive crisis, and they held on and they tried to get a couple of deals over the line late, and they ended up with Ozan Kabak, who is a good player, but I think he's found his level at Norwich at this stage of his career. And Ben Davies, who didn't even kick a ball for Liverpool. But what the plan was always Konate. They couldn't get that done in January, so they were prepared to wait until the summer. And we're already seeing now, he's not there yet. He's not the finished article, but he's much closer to the standard that Liverpool require. And you can see, if this is how good he is right now, another year, 2 years playing under Jurgen, playing with Virgil van Dijk, etc. I think that's been the key to Liverpool's success, is patience.
Yes, and I think this is going to change in the summer, of course, because it will be time to have something fresh, to add something fresh to the team. So I expect Liverpool to sign some players in offensive positions, maybe a new winger, maybe a new striker, so something like this. Something in the midfield is also needed. How do you see the summer for Liverpool? Before we jump into Mo Salah contract topic, but summer in general, summer 2022, you expect Liverpool to sign some players? Because my expectation is 2 or 3 signings could arrive at Liverpool.
Yeah, I would expect them to add something to the attacking areas, certainly. But I think so much of this will hinge upon, I think there's a domino effect around Salah's contract, which I know we'll talk about in a second. But I think there's a number of sort of plans depending on how that goes. Because if you can't get that done, then what you've probably got to do is go and sign Mane's contract, get that sorted, or maybe get Firmino's contract sorted, because they're all in the similar boat. They're all the same age bracket. You don't want a situation where they're all tied down, but you don't want a situation where they're all not tied down. So there needs to be some sensible thinking there. And then I think that will impact whether Liverpool go for a left-sided player, maybe, or a right-sided player. Because if you know that you're not getting too much of Salah, and you've only got another year of Salah, you get someone in to you either sell Salah or you get someone in to train on the job underneath him to learn the role as best as possible. Or you look to maybe say, can you get some value out of Sadio Mane, and therefore do you need someone else on that side? And you mentioned the striker. We don't even know whether, on Jota, who I think has been a fantastic buy for Liverpool, we don't know whether he's a left-sided player or a striker. He's played mainly as a striker this season because Firmino's been injured. So I think that will impact what sort of profile of player Liverpool are looking for.
Of course, and it's going to be super interesting summer for Liverpool, I'm sure. And so we jump into Mo Salah, because it's the big one right now. He spoke a few days ago again about his situation, his contract situation, and I'm still told that they are in talks and Liverpool are convinced that they can do it. They know that timing will be so important to get it done before the summer. So this is the expectation around Liverpool. I'm also told, I don't know if it's the same for your side, Paul, that last summer, like in May, in June, someone from Paris Saint-Germain was asking around about Mo Salah before Leo Messi stuff, of course, but something was happening. Then Mo Salah decided to stay, and Liverpool only wanted Mo Salah to stay, of course, but they were already asking around the situation of Mo Salah. Now seems that they are still negotiating. They are working on new deal. Let's see if they will get it done before the summer. What is your feeling on that one and your information on that?
Yeah, I mean, my overall feeling, I think Liverpool are sort of lucky in some situations that the financial situation around football means that, I mean, 5, 6, 10 years ago, I think there's more football clubs that would be banging on Liverpool's door trying to get Mo Salah. And I think there's a very small market of clubs that not only can afford him, but also can afford his wages these days. And Paris Saint-Germain are definitely the one. And I can understand that makes perfect sense to me. That's the move where you're thinking, well, Mbappe's going to move on at some point. They're going to need someone to come in, another global icon to kind of fill a mantle and sell some shirts and what have you. And Salah would make perfect sense. And of course, again, the money's there in that regard. So no surprise.
Well, Liverpool can't lose Salah.
Well, no, exactly. But Liverpool have never been in this position before, Fab, where they literally own the best player on the planet. And, and Liverpool have very much been that club where those players move on. Maybe slightly past their prime sometimes. So as an example, like Fernando Torres is a good example. Obviously, too often Liverpool have let players go before their prime. Suarez, Sterling, being the most recent ones of that, and I've lived to regret it. Really, it's tough because, as we mentioned, it's not just the transfer strategy; it's everything. It's how Liverpool are budgeted. Liverpool are budgeted in such a way that they don't like to have superstars. They don't like to have guys who are earning so far and above and beyond everyone else. But Salah is so good. I think there's one of those exceptions where I think even the entire Liverpool squad would look and say, "Yeah, this guy. If you're gonna break the rules for one guy, you definitely break it for Salah." But Klopp seems reasonably relaxed about the whole thing, which is where I take my encouragement from. There's obviously a lot of moving pieces to this, and it's a shame because I think as fans, everyone would just go, pay him what he wants. Pay him whatever he wants, just get it sorted. And we'd all do that on Football Manager, I'm certain of it. We'd find other ways to make it work. But yeah, Liverpool have got some very, very clever people behind the scenes. I don't think it would be penny pinching. I think it would be part of a wider strategy and not undercut the future of the football club, but also, safeguard the present as well. So interesting few weeks and months.
Yes, absolutely. And I still see, as you say, I still see Liverpool confident on that one also behind the scenes. They're still saying that they're working, they're in negotiation also on Salah's side. They're still waiting to see what happens, but with an optimistic feeling. So I hope really for Liverpool they can continue with Mo Salah. I still remember when he arrived here in Italy with Fiorentina, was incredible. Then with Roma, I still remember some Roma fans celebrating when they sold him for 50 million. But then now with 50 million, you maybe could buy even a shirt of Mo Salah. So football is like this sometimes. And let's answer our final questions from our listeners or followers on Debatable. Mike Kneebone asking, how important is it for Chelsea to keep Antonio Rudiger? He said he enjoyed this chapter. Is he playing games? So my feeling, Mike, is for Chelsea would be super important to keep Tony Rudiger, but it's also important to say that 1 year ago, October 2020, so 1 year and a half ago, they were prepared to offload Tony Rudiger. Tottenham, AC Milan, they were trying to find a solution. So the player now wants an important contract because he's now one of the best centre-backs in Europe and not just in Premier League. And at the moment, they have still no agreement. So it's absolutely open for Tony Rudiger, and it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It's not easy for Chelsea to keep Tony Rudiger at the club. Martin is asking, do you really think Cristiano Ronaldo could leave this transfer window? I think no. I don't know your opinion, Paul, but I don't see Cristiano Ronaldo leaving in January. Absolutely, but also in the summer, I don't see Cristiano leaving Man United. This is my feeling.
Yeah, no, I mean, I guess it depends how horribly it goes, really, yes. and whether he feels, if Manchester United don't finish into the Champions League positions, will Cristiano Ronaldo want to waste one of the last couple of seasons of his career not playing Champions League football? But I'm still waiting for that inevitable, he gets given the player manager's job United thing to happen, but we'll see on that one.
Yes. I think Man United fans could be happy at the moment with Cristiano, and they need to rebuild with a new manager. This is the big one of the year. And then at the end, Connor saying, Fabrizio, are we going to see you in a Marvel film in the near future because of the tweet of Zendaya? This is to be the most unexpected crossover. She tweeted, here we go. And I was a bit surprised when I saw it, but was not related to football or Newcastle. Someone asked me about Newcastle. No, they are not signing them. So at the moment, you are not going to see me in any film, but this is not in my plans. I want to continue as a journalist. So let me say a big thanks, guys, to our listeners and followers. As always, you have been listening and watching, as always, Debatable here on 11 Football. Let's know your thoughts in the comments. So leave a comment on YouTube or wherever you're following us. And a big thank to Paul for being part of the show. It was amazing. Thank you, Paul.
Thanks, mate.
It was a super pleasure. So see you soon on Debatable.